Hey everybody, and welcome to Steelbook Obsessed. My name is Jake, and after a longer than anticipated hiatus, we are back with Movie Log 5. I rank a movie a day over on my Letterboxd. That's where my reviews kind of stay. I will show every Letterboxd review that I'm talking about in the corner. I'll have a QR code here right now if you want to follow me over there. But I also like to talk about physical media, so I thought this would be a good time to go over a big fat stack of movies that I didn't make an actual individual review over, but I still kind of want to talk about. If you like movie reviews, make sure you like this video, give the channel a subscription, all of that fun stuff. But let's start with a newer movie. The Oscars, as I'm recording this, are a couple of weeks away. I always try to see as many of the Oscar-nominated movies as I possibly can. This one isn't nominated for Best Picture, but I am hearing pretty good things on Kieran Culkin's performance of A Real Pain, so I wanted to check it out for myself. He is nominated for Best Supporting Actor. From what I've seen, he pretty much has this category locked down. And after watching the movie, it's a good performance, I guess. I think this movie is solid, but it's nothing super special. I feel like we've seen movies like this before, but the combination of Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin is a great dynamic duo that I really hope do have more movies in their catalog in the future. I rated A Real Pain a 3.5 out of 5. Kieran Culkin is just really being Kieran Culkin. And there is one special feature on this release as well, which is a making of Beautiful Fate, Making a Real Pain. And I will say that it's a very solid making of. It's nice and edited, nicely put together. It's about half an hour long. And one of the main takeaways that I had from that special feature is that there were a lot of instances in this movie where Kieran Culkin would just riff, where he would ad-lib. And that just goes more to my thoughts when I had it initially, that Kieran Culkin is pretty much just being a version of himself here. And I don't know. I think it's a fine performance. I need to recheck who's nominated for the Best Supporting Actor to see if I really think that Kieran Culkin really deserves the win here or not. Fine movie, fine performance. I think you will go on just fine if you decide to see this, or it's a great way to spend 93 minutes if you have the time and have the interest. It's about Kieran Culkin, Jesse Eisenberg going back to Poland to visit their ancestry. Their grandmother just passed away. They're going on one of those retreats that kind of go through the motions of Poland, talk about the what happened during World War II. And then they, I don't want to spoil anything in my review, so I will leave what happens to you to see if just the synopsis I said sounds good to you. Solid film, nothing super crazy though. I have a good stack of physical media, but I've also seen a lot of newer movies that aren't out yet on physical media. The latest one that I just watched last night was Anora. Again, this movie just won Best Picture at the Directors Guild Awards. It just won it at the Producers Guild Awards, I believe. It's definitely gaining that momentum at the perfect time for when Oscars come. I would say right now it's a coin flip between The Brutalist, which I will talk about in this video, and Anora as what movie's going to win Best Picture. And I guess I'll talk about both back to back. Anora, I thought, was a good movie. I don't know how it's in the Best Picture conversation at all. I gave it a 4 out of 5. It's a very solid film. Mikey Madison's performance is amazing. I've loved Mikey Madison since she played one of Pamela Adlon's daughters in the show Better Things. That show did not get watched enough at all, and she played the most pitch perfect version of a teenage girl, like growing up through adolescence, that I've seen on screen in quite some time. And her performance here, like, she is still knocking it out of the park. You care about her feelings, you care about the character's arc throughout the film. The film ends in such a awkward yet I guess human way, and that sticks with you because it's one of those endings where it just cuts to black and you're like, oh, that's it. Okay. And then you kind of like sit with your feelings while the credits are rolling. That's what I always do. I always just watch the credits in the background while I pull out my phone, start typing my review right after I get done seeing it. and just sitting with my thoughts. And I thought performances all throughout here were very strong. I thought there were some great cinematography choices in here. There's one shot of Mikey Madison, her name is Anora or Annie in this movie, where she's looking out this big window and there's a snowstorm going on, and it seems like she is just capsulated inside of a snow globe of sorts. It's so mesmerizing, and I love that shot so much. That's gonna be that's one of my favorite shots of 2024, even though I just saw it yesterday. And yes, solid film. It's fine. I did like it better than A Real Pain, but Best Picture nominee, I get. Frontrunner to win, I don't know. I'll just this leads me into my thoughts on The Brutalist. I saw that in theaters. Thankfully I did, because I didn't know what to really expect with that movie. I knew it was 3.5 hours going in. Didn't really know too much about it. I knew the dude had a background in architecture, Adrian Brody's character, and that movie absolutely floored me. To me, it's a very it's an awesome character piece. It reminded me a lot thematically of There Will Be Blood. It's not as great as There Will Be Blood. There Will Be Blood is like one of my favorite 50 movies of all time. The Brutalist is solid though. The name The Brutalist it's very multi-layered. It could mean a numerous amount of things. With the themes flowing throughout this movie, Adrian Brody is going to win Best Actor for his performance here. And again, there's like one point in the movie very late that I think takes a step too far, or didn't really need to kind of go at the realms that it did. And that decision kind of spiraled this movie into being an all-time classic, in my opinion. But that being said, this movie is solid. If you can see it in theaters, please see it in theaters, because it was such a unique experience. I went by myself to see it. It was a very last second decision that I made. The movie didn't get over with until like 1 o'clock in the morning. I saw it with one other dude, a complete stranger that I had no idea who he was. I just saw him at the very top. I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to be one of those showings. That's fine. But to break up the 3.5 hour runtime, there's an intermission that pops up. And during that intermission, it gave you 15 minutes to kind of, sit with your thoughts, use the restroom, fill up on concessions, which I did all of that. But I came back and I just started talking with that guy, a complete stranger, for a good 5-7 minutes, sometime around then. We got cut off because the movie started again. But that doesn't happen. That just doesn't happen in movies. You go in, and then once the movie's done, you just kind of like go on with the rest of your life. But this movie really gives you time to think about the first half of the film, which the first half to me is a lot stronger than the second half. The intermission where it's placed is put at just the right point. There's the AAA 24 membership. I got a postcard for The Brutalist. Very happy I did, because it's one of my favorite movies of the year so far. I want to say I ranked it at number 3 or 4, in the top 5 somewhere. Again, I rated The Brutalist a 4.5 out of 5. Such a encompassing picture that is ambitious as all get out, and I feel like sticks the landing more than it doesn't. If you like to see a journey through a man's life, like a very broad look into 50 years of a character, I would recommend The Brutalist wholeheartedly, folks. But let's go over to, should I keep on going with new movies? Yeah, let's actually, physical media. I said I would hop back and forth. This is still a newer movie. I was gonna see this movie in theaters, but I decided not to, because it kept on getting very, very bad reviews from pretty much everybody when it originally came out. We have Joker, Folie, Deux, we got Joaquin Phoenix, we got Lady Gaga, and yes, this is the type of steelbook where you can kind of flip it like this. Not quite sure why they decided to go that route, but alas, they did. So just so you are aware, this is day 2 of recording this video. I am a dad, got very busy, never got around to continuing to record until right now. Let's continue to talk about Joker, Folie, Deux. I think it's very, you don't see it every day that a movie that was as successful as Joker was made over $1 billion, the first R-rated movie to ever make $1 billion. to have a sequel that really changes up a lot of things that made the first one successful, I give it credit for that. And I'm just going to continue to do this while I talk about this movie, because while this is hypnotizing and mesmerizing, Joker Folie Deux really just kind of steps on its feet a lot and trips over what made the first one so special. I don't mind musicals. I don't. This just seemed to throw in musical elements for the hell of it, added nothing to the story, and that's the main reason why I did not like that aspect of this movie, and it leans so heavily on it. It just kind of plays the song hits, and it'd be such a stronger film without it. Like, I know you're going into Arthur Fleck's imagination more or less, and just his dreamscape that he lives in. Didn't really work for me. I like Lady Gaga. I thought here she was just okay. A lot of this movie was just okay to me. Here's the inside, the 4K, the Blu-ray, and the inside artwork. I ended up giving Joker Folie Deux a 2.5 out of 5. I didn't hate it, but it's not a movie I'm really gonna rush to go see once again. It's in the collection though. Thank you, Warner Brothers, for sending this my way, but I don't know. I just don't know when I'm going to rewatch that release. If you want to watch that movie or any other movie that I have been talking about today, I'm trying to put as many links as possible in the description below. If you buy any of these off of Amazon, I get a little bit of a kickback. You help the channel survive that much longer. Greatly appreciated. But let's go over to let's do a movie that I was very hesitant on doing a review over, because I don't know if I have enough thoughts to do a full review over Al Pacino cruising, William freaking movie. This is the first time I had seen this movie. Very captivating stuff, very ahead of its time, I will say. This got released, what, 1980, I believe? And it just seems like it captures a certain moment in time pitch perfectly. Takes place in New York, in like the gay scene of New York, in like grimy underbellies. And you see a lot of hairy bellies in this movie. You see a lot of stuff that I'm not really used to watching, and that's fine. It also kind of leans on that unease, while also like making a Americanized version of a giallo picture. There are a lot of different kills in this movie that just seem very stylized, and that's what I enjoyed the most about this movie. Cruising, to say the least, is wholly unique. Again, when I was watching, I'm like, oh my god, I don't know if I want to watch this again. It's not my cup of tea personally. But by the end of the movie, something happens and I'm like, wait, what is this movie trying to say? Again, when I do my movie reviews, I don't like to spoil anything that happens in the movie. But there are some things that happen in the last like half an hour, to where like I had no idea where this movie was going. And it definitely did not go where I even was trying to put the pieces together of where it was going to go. William Friedkin definitely steps out of his comfort zone with this movie. And in some senses, I feel like it was very ahead of its time. I think I've said that already. I like the slipcover. Normally, I'm a little bit on the fence with Arrow Video slipcovers. I'm hit or miss, really. I like how they did like a faux leather on the front here. You can see kind of like the cracks, like you would with an old like leather coat that you've had forever. Very interesting, though. This is made out of paper. You can see that. The front cover, very plain Jane. This is why I'm a little like, if this had amazing artwork, I would love to have the slipcover. This doesn't really add too much to this release. And then the back is just black. Like it doesn't, I wish that Arrow Video would do something more with their boxes. It's great that you added the slipcover. Just go a little above and beyond here. I don't know what imagery you would use for cruising to put on here. Maybe some type of there's a scene in a movie theater that gets very bloody very quickly, and like maybe imagery like from that just to put on here somewhere, because you can even like play in the shadows that they have over here, just like with the shadow of the stab actually happening. If you're a fan of the giallo genre. This is a very unique take within that genre. I want to say I gave Cruising a 3.5 out of 5, 3.5. Here's my Letterboxd review, just to make sure. There's the knife in question that I'm talking about in the movie theater. Very, very cool. I like this artwork quite a bit. And there's a lot of stuff that's in here, a lot of great special features that are on here. The 4K has the movie and a couple of special features, but this disc, if you normally don't pop in your extras and watch the special features, there's one that you need to watch, and that is a new interview by Karen Allen. Oh my God. Like, it's crazy that Karen Allen came back to talk about Cruising, and when it's like a 45-minute interview, and she says that, like, I never really get asked questions about Cruising, and she just goes. She was on set for a whole week. She doesn't play a big part in this movie, but it's still interesting to hear what she had to say about Pacino, what she had to say about Freakin', just what she had to say about the protests going on while the movie was being made, because the gay community did not like this movie being made whatsoever, even though now in 2025 it seems to be very highly regarded in the gay community. So it's funny how age can kind of make you look at things a little bit differently. And same with like watching movies. I already gave you an example earlier in the video of how that happened for me. But yeah, this also comes with a booklet right here. Boom, boom. Booklets I never read. Sorry, people who make essays and stuff. I would rather have a video essay on the disc to watch as a special feature. And then I'm not going to unfold this. It's actually, I think there is new artwork, so I will showcase this off. There we go. Yeah, there's the different piece of art. I will show off a poster, and I appreciate the poster when you use different artwork that has not been on the release anywhere else. Here's the back. That is the 4K that's on the case. I'm okay with that. If you are a fan of this movie, by far this is the route to go with picking this release up. If you've never seen this movie, it's hard for me to recommend it because I don't think it's going to be everybody's cup of tea, and you have to have an open mind when you're going into it. So if you don't want to be challenged as a filmmaker, or as a film watcher, I guess not a filmmaker, I might not recommend this movie to you. If you want to really see if, I don't know, if you want something different, in the horror genre, I can't even like get this in here right now. This box is very, very tight. It's not going in all the way. That's driving me bonkers. I will have to put this away later. That's a little obnoxious. But if you want to challenge yourself as a movie watcher, broaden your horizons a little bit, I would give Cruising a shot because it's very unique in William Friedkin's filmography. And if you are a fan of him as a director, I do think you should give this a watch for sure. A movie that I have watched numerous times though. But the first time I watched it with my kids, they are now 6.5 and 9. And my youngest still really likes just to watch animated movies. She's old enough to where she can actually appreciate the Iron Giant. I have not seen this movie in like at least 10 years. And oh my God, this movie's perfect. There's not a lot of movies on Letterboxd that I give a perfect rating to. The Iron Giant is exactly that. From start to finish, I would not change a thing whatsoever. I'm so happy that I picked up this Steelbook. This was back in the Best Buy exclusive days when they were releasing movies like this for 20 bucks on Steelbook. I want to say I got it on sale for like 15, 12, somewhere around that ballpark because I didn't pay 20 bucks full price. After watching this, makes me so upset that there's not a 4K of the Iron Giant. What are you doing, Warner Brothers? I don't know. It baffles me that in your catalog, you wouldn't give this movie a 4K release. It looks wonderful. Some of my favorite 4K watching experiences come from the animated genre, and just hand-drawn, it would look so good. There's some 3D elements mixed in that don't look aged. Like, let's say we go back to Toy Story in 1995. That movie looks like a big piece of ass. But the Iron Giant blends 2D and 3D very, very well, uses 3D very, very seldomly, and it just works. The whole story is so solid and well done. If you have not seen the Iron Giant, can 1000% recommend it. Directed by Brad Bird, who also directed The Incredibles, Incredibles 2. great filmmaker. This was his first big screen movie, his directorial debut, if you will. And I just cannot say enough things about this movie. Harry Connick Jr. is a great, God, I don't want to really spoil the movie. Harry Connick Jr. gives a great performance here. Shooter McGavin is the bad guy, Michael McDonald. Did not realize that until I looked it up. And yeah, that's an absolute, he is chewing scenery like mad. The mom in this is Jennifer Aniston, which again, I could not hear. Normally, I'm like 50-50 when it comes to like hearing people's voices in animated movies and pinpointing who that person is. Wouldn't have guessed Jennifer Aniston in a million years as the mom in this movie. Okay performance. But again, if you've not seen The Iron Giant, wholeheartedly recommend. If you just want the movie on Blu-ray, don't know how much this is. I don't know even if I'll look it up. So normally, like some steelbooks, when I buy them and they're in the collection, I never look at the aftermarket to see like what these are selling for now. And sometimes it absolutely blows my mind. Is this price blowing my mind? I don't know. I can't see it yet, but you will see it. And if it's blowing your mind, let me know in the comments. What blew my mind is that this Blu-ray release has an amazing making of documentary. The Giant's Dream. Yes, The Giant's Dream right here. It goes through Brad Bird's career from when he was a little child all the way up to when he finished making The Iron Giant. It is so packed with great information about how dedicated you have to be to the craft in order to make it really anywhere in Hollywood, let alone to direct your own film. Brad Bird worked on a lot of different projects. He was he worked for like one of the, he interned during like the last peak of the golden era of Disney animation, working with the people who made like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. He was like 15, 16 years old. It goes into a great story of how he got the internship, how he spent like 15 years breaking through, working on like TV, finally got his shot to make the Iron Giant the way that he wanted to. If you're a fan of Brad Bird, you need to pick up this, even just pick up the Blu-ray. You don't have to pick up the Steelbook. Steelbook is gorgeous. I don't know how much that price was, but if it's not bad, add this to your collection pronto. But yeah, this thing is amazing. The movie's amazing. The documentary's amazing. Just such a great, well-packed disc. And they're not really making releases like this the way that they used to. I don't know when this originally came out. I'm trying to find a date. 2018. So that's not that far away, but it seems like a lifetime away, you know? Get this release. This is my recommendation of the week, 1000%. The only movie I gave a 5 out of 5 to that we're talking about today. It's just so wholesome, so tear-jerking at times. It'll keep you in the feels. And if my 6.5-year-old, my 9-year-old, my wife, and myself were captivated, no phone time was even attempted while this movie was on. Can't give that movie a higher recommendation. It's so perfect. Okay, scratch that. Remember when I said that Iron Giant is my recommendation of the week? It is. But a movie comes very close to being my recommendation of the week and literally did not come out of nowhere, because every person that I've heard talk about this movie has adored it. And now that I've seen it, I'm going to sing its praises as well. Came out last year. Hundreds of Beavers, baby. This is streaming now on Prime Video. I did not watch this for the longest time because it's a black and white movie about, I had no idea what it was about. It was just a comedy, black and white. That's a hard enough sell for me as is. But I saw it was streaming for free on Prime Video, if you have a subscription, of course. And I started watching it. This is another rare example where everybody in the house was doing their own thing in the living room. I decided to pop on a movie. I was hoping that it was appropriate for everybody. It was rated PG, so I'm like, sure, why not? It took about 15-20 minutes. It took about 5-10 minutes for me to really get the tone of this movie and get on board with it. I got on board pretty quickly. It took about 20-30 minutes for the rest of my family. My wife hated it. My wife did not like this movie whatsoever. But my 9-year-old and my 6.5-year-old jumped on board. This movie just plays as like a live action Looney Tunes. And I loved every minute of it. Once it gets through the first 5 minutes, which are a little rough and a little abrasive and really just kind of crash bang you into this universe, once it slows down a wee bit and starts like starting jokes that continuously happen throughout the film and builds a universe that is so wonky yet refreshingly unique, I just could not get enough of this movie. I also rated Hundreds of Beavers a 5 out of 5. And I am not the person on Letterboxd to rate 5 out of 5 that often. I have over 2,000 films logged on Letterboxd. I know I have less than 100 that I rated a 5 out of 5. And Hundreds of Beavers lived up to that just because it was such a breath of fresh air. It was so wonderfully charming, had great comedic tones throughout the entire movie. The tones of comedy were all over the place too. It's such a simple story, but so masterfully crafted that I want to see the rest of this filmmaker's filmography. Because if he can make something like this, what else has he done in the past? What else is he going to come out with? I don't even know the name of the director right off the top of my head. I'm going to look that up right now. The name of the director was Mike Cheslick. Never heard of him whatsoever, but now I want to see everything that he's ever done. He's done a thing called Lips. He's done a thing called Scheme Squad, Limbos. Don't know, but they all do seem very, they seem, oh God, what's the word I'm trying to, it's not unique. Like that's a very just slap it on a thing to kind of say, oh, it's different. But these seem stylized. All of those movies that I looked at just on the movie posters on Letterboxd, all of his movies seemed very stylized. And if they can kind of hold a candle to the perfection that is Hundreds of Beavers, I am all in for looking back at all the other movies that this guy's made. If you have been on the fence to watch Hundreds of Beavers, if you are nervous about watching a black and white film, silent film even, like there's not a lot of dialogue. I don't think there's any dialogue in this movie. Just give it a shot. If you're a fan of old school cartoons, Looney Tunes is the main thing, Tom and Jerry, like that type of slapstick humor that's timeless, give Hundreds of Beavers a shot. Now I'm even more upset. Like I was not upset when this movie sold out on Vinegar Syndrome's website in less than a day. I was on the fence of getting it, but since I never saw it, I didn't want to spend $30 to have it in the collection. Now, that movie's going for like $100, $120 on eBay, and I want it so bad. Like, I'm hoping that there's another boutique label that comes out with this movie because I want to add this to the collection like mad. I'm not gonna spend $100 for it. I will be kicking myself if I do that. That's not the type of collector I am. I like to save as much as humanly possible, and I want Hundreds of Beavers in the collection because it deserves to be in the collection. Damn it, it's such a good movie, and I'm really surprised to hear myself saying that, but I'm recommending that movie as well. There's a few more movies. I'll try to do some really quick takes. Yeah, all of these, I'll do the rest of my physical media, kind of look back at some of the newer movies. I know I saw Hard Eyes and Companion in theaters. I'll talk about those a little bit later. Let's go over Kingpin, though. Completely random. There was a live stream that I did where I ranked every single movie that I saw in 2024. And out of those movies, 2 of my Letterboxd reviews mentioned me wanting to go back and watch Kingpin. And that just kind of cemented the fact that I need to watch Kingpin. So I did, and it's fine. It's a fun Farrelly Brothers comedy. You know what you're getting yourself into. I don't think it's as strong as There's Something About Mary. That's probably the best film they have ever made. Love that film a lot, even though it's been a long time since I've seen that movie too. I'm a big fan of Dumb and Dumber as well. But like, this is probably up there with their better material. They've made a lot of stinkers. While this is not a stinker, Bill Murray is like the main reason you will go into this and watch it. Because if it wasn't for Bill Murray, this would be your average run-of-the-mill Farrelly Brothers movie. The character that Bill Murray portrays in this movie, even though he's not in a lot of the movie, he's in a good chunk of the first third, he's in a good chunk of the last third, breathes so much energy into this movie, it's crazy. yeah, just a very fun comedy. Sometimes I'm just in the mood to turn my brain off and have a fun comedy watch. I found this at my local hobby store for $10. I like to keep those stickers in there just to remind myself how much I paid for stuff. Yeah, I would recommend this movie if you just kind of want to have a good time and not think too hard about really pretty much anything. This movie I got sent by Kino Lorber. Again, sometimes I'm just in the mood for certain genres. This one in particular, I look at this cover of Hot Pursuit. Number one, never heard of this movie. John Cusack movie in the 80s. I was wanting kind of like a raunchy comedy. Ever since I rewatched American Pie from that 88 Films 4K release that came out, I've been wanting to find diamonds in the rough in that subgenre. And all the ones that I've checked out, I really haven't scratched any itch for me. Unfortunately, this one's kind of the same way. It's very run-of-the-mill, very average when it comes. It's not even that much of a raunchy comedy, really. The main plot of Hot Pursuit, if you are not aware, because I definitely was not aware, John Cusack is studying for finals. His girlfriend invited him on a vacation with their parents. He decides to study. He fails because he fails for certain reasons that I won't get into. But then as soon as they leave, as soon as they hit the airport, he second guesses it himself and decides to try to catch up to them on their vacation. Hijinks come aplenty in this movie. The main reason why I would suggest watching this film is for the secondary actors. There are a lot of famous people in this movie. The first ones that come to mind, Jerry Stiller and his son Ben Stiller. This is Ben Stiller's first theatrical role, and it's a pretty meaty role for it being his first film. And seeing Jerry and Ben, they've been in a couple other movies together. Love to see it whenever they do. This is the earliest example of that, and it's a blast to watch. There's also Robert Loggia. He pretty much plays, I don't want to tell you what he plays, but he's definitely a character. I love him as a character actor. And oh my God, who's the other guy? Sorry, I gotta look this up. It's gonna drive me nuts. The person I was thinking of was Keith David. I knew him from They Live. I knew him from The Thing. Keith David plays a Rastafarian in this movie. So many random happenstances happen in this movie, but it's not really super memorable either. I gave it a 3 out of 5. It's absolutely fine. Whoever this girl is right there, she's phenomenal. She plays the role that she plays here pitched perfectly. I couldn't imagine any other person playing her character in this film. There's a lot of positives in this movie, but at the end of the day, the plot is just meh. You can do much worse, but it's not a bad way to spend 90 minutes either. Next up, we had Kino Lorber. Let's do an Umbrella Entertainment release. I watched Sasquatch Sunset. Number one, this furry case. I've never seen a furry case in my life. There's one other example that I saw that people sent to me when I originally did an unboxing of this. I guess How the Grinch Stole Christmas, back when it originally came out, had in the Blu-ray, it had a green Grinch case. Very, very random. So even though this seems unique, it's still unique. This is the second time that I can see this packaging happening. This movie is also very unique and weird and random. It's about a family of Sasquatches, and there's, again, no dialogue because they just grunt all the time. A lot of fecal jokes. Like the first half hour of this movie, it's like, what is this? What am I watching here? Very, very, very strange movie. Hard for me to even describe, even though you get past the first half hour, which I have to admit was rough. Like for me, with Hundreds of Beavers, it took me 5 minutes to get into that movie and get the tone of this movie. I did not think I was going to like the tone from the first 30 minutes of Sasquatch Sunset. It changes, it evolves a little bit as it goes. Very, very unique film, to say the least. I want to say I rated it a 3.5 out of 5. It turns into a movie that I enjoyed, and I'm glad that I gave it a watch. Also on here, what I'm glad I gave a watch to, the special features. Because there's a lot of special features on this Umbrella release, by the way. But the one that I want to talk about is, what is it? Scout, no, it's Beneath the Fur, Creating the Sasquatch. That's what it is. Because you literally, yes, Jesse Eisenberg plays a Sasquatch in this movie. Riley Keough, she also plays a Sasquatch in this movie. And it's just weird and bizarre to see famous actors and actresses get in the mind of a Sasquatch and like walk around and just try to find how they would play a Sasquatch, both without the fur and costumes on, and then they slowly put that stuff on. You get to see like their entire reactions to when that actually gets shown to them for the first time. It's just a weird, unique movie. And again, this is another one like Cruising. Like, I can't recommend this movie, but for me, it ended up working more than it didn't work. It's very, very weird. Very weird. I don't know if this release is sold out yet. I got number 345 out of 500 with all Umbrella Entertainment releases. It says Region B, but it'll work in all region players. I've never had a release. This release worked in a Region A player. I've never had a release that has not worked. There's the booklet that it comes with. A whole bunch of art cards that I don't know if I want to... There's probably no spoiler territory in here. It's just freaking Sasquatches in the forest. There's not a lot to spoil. There's not a lot to talk about in the movie either. It's just very unique. I think if you have the right comedic sense, I guess, if you like weird comedies, this plays like that. If you like straightforward storytelling, I would not watch Sasquatch Sunset. I really could not recommend it if that is the type of movie you like. The last physical media release that I have to talk about is the 4:30 movie from Lionsgate. I got this for Christmas, and if I didn't get it so late, the Steelbook would have probably been in contention for like top 10 releases of the year. I knew that it was a VHS tape. It just still, I am a sucker for a conceptual Steelbook. I have the Guardians of the Galaxy one that looks like a cassette player. There's a handful of ones that get releases like this, and every time I'm just like, yes, this is amazing. I'm trying to get the light there. Yeah, there you can see. The actual spools are debossed, which is a nice added touch that I did not think would be in this release, but it is. The inside here are spools, kind of like back in the day when you would put a movie together and you film a reel, you thread film into the projector. It lands on a platter and it of course has to go somewhere. It winds itself back up. Kevin Smith is the director of the 4:30 movie, and he's a director that I've been watching for a long time. Back in high school, fell in love with his filmography, fell in love with Clerks, fell in love with Mallrats, Chasing Amy. That's like his holy trinity of movies. Dogma is also very, very fun. But then he decides to like go all over the board with his filmography. The Jay and Silent Bob movies are their own tone. He goes into the horror mood with Red State, which is amazing, and Tusk, which I absolutely love, but I can see why people don't like it. Yoga Hosers is a complete mess and the only movie that I cannot ever see myself ever watching again. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. No, Jay and Silent Bob Get Old. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back? Jay and Silent Bob. The second one. Reboot. Reboot is the second one. That's a fun nostalgic trip back, blast to the past. I didn't mind Jersey Girl. I know there's a couple of movies that I'm forgetting in that. 4:30 movie is the first movie in his catalog to where I feel like Kevin Smith couldn't help but put his own spin on experiences that happened to him. He goes too far at certain points because this is loosely based off of what happened to him, but the character is not called Kevin Smith. Like, it's very confusing. He should have just had this as Kevin Smith and made this a biopic of himself at a movie that he saw as a teenager. That would have made sense to him, kind of being in his own feels and getting as sentimental as he does in this movie. The movie's fine, but it's just okay. I gave it a 3 out of 5. It's an okay watch. You kind of know what you're getting yourself into if you're a fan of all other View Askew universe stuff. I don't know. It's okay, but the steelbook for me, the packaging is by far the best part of this movie. There's a making of in here that's not the greatest. It's just like getting a tripod up, having one actor talk for a second, and then like having another actor go in there, but nobody's talking to each other. Just feels so so stagnant, so just not great. It's just very, very lazy. This movie also kind of feels lazy. Try not to go into spoilers. There's an after credits scene on this movie that just made me be like, oh my God, we get it. Epic eye roll. Like, we understand how this is your life, Kevin. You didn't need to take it this a step further. I don't know. Very cynical take on the 4:30 movie, I guess. I don't think you were supposed to take it as cynical as I took it, but I just could not help but the majority of the movie's fine. There's just certain instances that pop up that's just like, oh my God, okay, yeah, we get it. You are reminiscing about things that happened in the past. I am rambling here. This movie is also a rambling, not a mess, but just it rambles too often. So I'm going to stop. If you like Kevin Smith, give it a shot. That's all I gotta say about the 4:30 movie. But as of late, I have been on a tear with watching movies in theaters. It doesn't happen that often, but I still love to go to the movie theaters. I saw a double feature of Kingpin and Hard Eyes. I definitely liked one more than the other. I liked Kingpin more. I gave Kingpin a 3.5 out of 5. Both movies are pretty formulaic, but I liked where Kingpin went with the certain movie that it is. And I can't say the same thing about Hard Eyes. I don't want to spoil anything on Kingpin because even though the poster kind of spoils things, I still don't think the reveal has really been put out there, so I'm not going to do that. I will say, though, like within its subgenre, it does play things. It's not reinventing the wheel, I will say, but it brings a couple of different elements and sprinkles them in, and I really liked the newness, the little tidbits of new that that movie brought to the table. Very, very fun. Enjoyed myself from start to finish with this one. Really like Jack Quaid as an actor, and I like to see what type of projects he has going on next. Like, I know Novocaine is coming up. That's the only one where I'm like, I don't know about this Jack. It just seems like another John Wick knockoff like we've got with Love Hurts and Nobody. It's just kind of the same thing over like a crank even on this one. I like Jack Quaid in Kingpin a lot. But I'll go into Hard Eyes a little bit. I was in the mood for a slasher. The director is a person that I like to watch on the show Game Changers. I don't subscribe to Dropout, but they have Instagram stories over there all the time on Game Changers. It's like a game show and like an improv game show. It's so fun, and that dude is one of my favorite panelists that pop up on there. So when I saw that he directed this movie, I'm like, okay, I have to go and show my support. And this movie is being a slasher, but also making the movie a romantic comedy of sorts. And I don't mind genre blending. I really don't. But I don't know. I feel like the two were just competing with each other rather than like peanut butter and jelly combination, you know? And the last 20-25 minutes, the reveal that happens at the end, it's been done already. I feel like this is a Scream knockoff, in particular with the ending, Scream 6. And it just, I don't know, it landed with more of a thud than it did with hey. Like, when I'm in a slasher, I want to enjoy myself. I want to kind of turn my brain off and see some kills. There are some fun kills in this movie, don't get me wrong. It just, I don't know, it didn't seem like it fully got where I wanted it to. I gave it a 2.5 out of 5. It's fine. I could see myself watching this again, but it's also just kind of forgettable. Hopefully it does get a sequel, because I could see it getting a sequel very easily. I don't know how it did in the box office, but I don't think it cost that much to make either, so I'm hoping that's not a big deterrent. I would love to see what else this whole cast has up their sleeve. Mason Gooding, I really like seeing pop up from time to time. There's a Hobbs and Shaw joke in here with two cops, with Devin Sawa and oh my god, the Joanna Brewster. That's who it is. And that was just like, ugh. Like, a lot of the jokes landed flat for me, which is unfortunate, especially if you're a romantic comedy and the comedy stuff isn't working as much as it should. Comedy's very hard to please everybody with, and I guess there's just a lot of jokes in here that didn't work as well as I wanted them to. But I guess the last movie I will talk about tonight is Dogman. I don't know why I'm ending with Dogman. Dogman's weird. Dogman is the type of movie that I like to see come out in January, because normally January is just dump month for a lot of these movies, a lot of these studios who feel like they have a stinker on their hands. Throw it here. There's no good content coming out this month. Hopefully people see our not good content rather than all the other studios' not good stuff. And Dogman was so bizarre. I like Captain Underpants. It's made by the same guy, Dave Pikey, I think is his name. If I remember that off memory, bravo to myself. But tonally, this movie was all over the board. I liked the Captain Underpants movie that came out. I gave Dogman a 3 out of 5 because it swings for the fences hard, people. My kids absolutely loved it. My 6.5-year-old is in love with Dogman. Like, that's the talk of the town at her elementary school right now. So she was all on board, has read a couple of the books herself. She was informing me, like, this is a huge series. I can't wait to see the sequels. We'll see if we get a sequel. We'll see if it goes like the Captain Underpants route, to where like it just had Netflix shows ad nauseum. I think there was a new one released last year, like a Christmas one. It just kept on going and going and going. Dogman's a little bit lesser of an IP, to me at least, than Captain Underpants is. I don't know. The movie was fine, but experimental enough for me to give it brownie points, I guess. But that is not all the movies that I saw. If you want to see every single movie, or you want to know and go through and comb through every single movie I've seen so far this year, head over to my letterbox, because there's a lot of movies here that I haven't talked about. Just scrolling through some of these, I did not talk about a lot of the Wallace and Gromit movies I saw. Did not talk about The House of the Devil. Did not talk about the Tom Green documentary. Did not talk about The Last Video Store. There's a whole bunch of movies, like I said, a whole bunch. Turning Red. I could keep on going. I'm not going to go. But yeah, if you like my content, make sure you give me a like and subscribe here. Subscribe over there, I guess. I love talking movies all the time. So my letterbox, like everybody that follows me on Letterboxd, that's like the main hub that I love having followers at, because they actually care what I have to say about movies. And I've been talking movies with my friends forever. I worked at a movie theater and I worked at a movie rental store because I loved just talking, chatting movies all the time. That love doesn't die the older you get, at least for me. And now that love is just now on YouTube here. So thank you for watching this video. And until next time, I'll see ya.